Wanted to be the first to welcome you to the Cutton Consulting Group family. I wanted to start off today's training program really congratulating you. I've got to share, in order to secure your spot in today's program, what we do as an organization is we marketed to over 250,000 financial advisors via email, which funnels down to about 250 to 300 advisors generally joining us on our monthly webinar to learn about how to approach the CPA marketplace, to about 5 to 7 new advisors per month actually joining our program. So I want to congratulate you, and what I want to share is the fact that you are one of the few out of 250 to 300,000 advisors that have made the financial and the time commitment to come join our program. Tells me that you are a special advisor in our industry, and I'm really excited to have you as part of the program. So thank you for joining. What I do want to share with you is simple. You've now hired myself and my team as your coach, and we're here to help you in any and every way that we can. We are an open book, and anything that we can do to help you in your pursuit of building relationships with the CPA and tax professional society or world, we're here to help you with. So again, congratulations on joining the program. Formally, I'm Jonathan Cutton, and again, I'd like to welcome you here. What I wanted to do to really frame things out today is to set the stage and to talk a little bit about just having the right mindset. And as I like to start off a lot of my presentations, what I'd like you to really do throughout the training, and there's a thorough program here, and we're going to spend about 5 or 6 hours really going deep and learning and sinking our teeth in how to figure out how to work with the CPA marketplace. I want you to really sit back and be your own consultant. I want you to pretend that you've hired yourself as your own coach, and really ask yourself some difficult questions about what exactly you are doing in your business, and whether you are working as a practitioner or whether you are working as a true business owner. And I like to frame things out. I'm going to spend about 30 minutes or so really just working on getting you as an advisor that I'm coaching to think like a true CEO and really have the right mindset. And my belief is that will be really setting you up to have an open mind throughout today's program so that you can really get the most out of it. One of the things that I think is really important is that I, as a fairly successful advisor myself, have been able to meet some of the most successful advisors in the industry. And I'm one of those guys that likes to ask a lot of questions. Here's what I want you to understand. When I meet these really successful advisors, number one, it's humbling because I stand in rooms with folks who are as or much more successful sometimes than I am. Here's one of the keys that I figured out. Almost none of these advisors work in their businesses. They all work on their businesses. And I believe that this program that you've just joined through my organization can be your first step from learning how to work on your business, not necessarily in your business. And here's what I mean when I say that. Most advisors are stuck in a rut. They're in a position that what they're really doing is they're focusing on the day-to-day activities of being a financial advisor, putting together proposals, writing financial plans, meeting with clients to deal with their service needs. And I'd like to ask you this question. How long have you been in the business? Are you a CFP? Are you a CRPC? Do you have an MBA? What's your experience level? And does your experience level match the type of work that you do? And what I mean when I say that, my belief is that a lot of advisors in our industry are working with clients that don't actually need the level of experience that you bring to the table. So as an example, if you have clients who have under $1 million of investable assets, as an example, some of us are still working with clients who have $100, $200, $300,000. If you have 20 years of experience, you're a certified financial planner, or a veteran of the industry, does that client who has $187,000 really require your personal attention? Or is there someone on your team who exists today or someone on your team that should be on your team that could give that client the same experience that doesn't rely on your years of knowledge and experience and studying of our industry. And I think that's a big mistake advisors make. We believe that because we're busy, that we can't get to working on the business because we're so busy working in it. And at the end of the day, guys, here's what I'm here to say, to tell you. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Kind of profound, right? If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. So think about what you do every day as your own consultant. You don't need to go out tomorrow and change it. But my belief is after completing our program, 3 years down the road, if you follow my system, my belief is truly that you're going to experience a level of quantum growth where your biggest issue will be very much like my issue in my financial planning practice, which is not where your next client is coming from, but how to take great care of your existing clients by having really strong practitioners in your business. And that's what quantum growth is about. It's about cracking the code on truly trying to figure out how to make client acquisition turnkey, perpetual, and systematic. If you can make your client acquisition turnkey, perpetual, and systematic, our issues are now all about how to make that client experience appropriate. So I want you to think about that as your own consultant, and I want you to think about how you can work on the business. Well, one of the terms that I've coined many years ago is a term that I call eat now versus eat later marketing. And what that means, simply put, is my belief is that most advisors, when they think about marketing, when they came into the industry, what we were all pretty much told, myself included, and as a leader at one point in my career, I told advisors the same thing. Put your head down for 3 to 5 years, go to work, bring in 30 or 40 or 50 new clients a year or $3 to $5 million of assets. And at the end of that 3 to 5 year period of time, you don't have to work so hard. Your phones will ring with referrals. There'll be opportunities within your client bases. Your clients will be retiring and rolling over their 401ks and introducing you to friends and family. And here's what I want to share with you. Remember all those top advisors that I talked about on the Barron's list and chairman's members at their broker-dealers? It didn't work that way for them. It hasn't worked that way for me. And my belief is it's probably not working that way for you. So the reality is, eat now marketing is really, in my opinion, a way to control an activity to bring in one client at a time 30 to 90 days down the road. So that could be from cold calling, seminars, referral events, asking for referrals, networking groups, things along those lines that bring slow acquisition that trickles in. What Eat Later marketing is all about, guys, and that's really what my whole program is designed to do. It's about delaying your gratification, focusing on the key levers to the business, and being in a position that you can do activities today that will ultimately have an impact on the growth of your business for the rest of your career. I want to say it again. Activities today that we need to delay our gratification on that will have an impact for the rest of your career. So our program is about delaying gratification and building a sustainable business model where the number one ingredient for a successful financial advisory practice, from my perspective, is what I call net flows. New money coming in to your business, subtracting out money leaving your business. The larger that number, generally the better the growth in the overall business. And I can't come up with a better way, guys, than working with the CPA community in order to create that level of growth and continuity in a business as a whole. So I want you to think about that for a minute. I want you to digest it, and I want you to really ask yourself the question as your own coach, is there anything that could be more valuable for me to do with my time than to focus on building mutually beneficial relationships with accountants and CPAs? So I know you've already joined my program, and I know that you already know that, but I want to really get you excited about it and understand that anything works if you work it. So this might sound a little bit arrogant. I have made every marketing strategy in my personal practice work that I've ever tried to do. Not because I'm so smart or I'm such a great marketer, but quite frankly, because I haven't let these things fail. What I mean when I say that is not letting them fail means I continue to work it until it bear the result that I was looking to ultimately achieve. Working with the CPA community, guys, is not an easy thing to do. So I don't want to undersell it. What I do want to tell you is I've trained hundreds of advisors, and those hundreds of advisors that have stuck with it and systematized and followed my system and my practice have ultimately had great success in working with the CPA community. So you need to put your head down. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to promise me and promise yourself that you are going to put your head down for no less than a year. I'd really like to ask you for 2 years. You're going to follow my system to the T. And my belief is if you put your head up in a year or two, what you will have in front of you is an opportunity that you didn't believe was possible, and you will literally change your career and your life. Okay, so I really want you to think about that for a minute, digest it, and to emotionally, subconsciously commit to doing that. If you can commit to doing that, I will give you absolutely everything we have and can all but guarantee that you will be happy with the results down the road. Well, I was talking a minute ago about the difference between a practitioner and a business owner. And I have a mentor of mine, and here's one of the things that he used to always say. I think it's really, really profound. What he said is a great financial advisor has the heart of a social worker and the mind of a capitalist. Heart of a social worker, mind of a capitalist. Think about that for a minute. Most of us have the heart of a social. We want to help our clients. We're there for them. We'll take their every call. We will drive to their house on April the 14th in order to pick up an IRA contribution. Whatever they need, we're willing to do. And it's great to have a heart of a social worker. It's great to help our clients. That's how we build relationships, etc. What I will share with you is most financial advisors that I meet don't have the mind of a capitalist. And that's what I want you to focus on. I know we're all good financial advisors. I know we all care a lot about our clients and do the right thing for our clients. I want you to really spend our time together working on the capitalistic part of your business, working on how to create quantum growth within your practice. Here's what I've identified. I've identified that there's 3 key levers to creating quantum growth within a financial planning practice. And what I want to share with you is I've discovered this for myself in my own practice many years ago. I've discovered it by speaking to other very successful advisors in the industry. And whether you are a $100,000 producer today or a $5 million or $10 million producer today or $1 million producer, in order to grow in a quantum way, you truly need to be in a position that you have strategies within your practice for you to allow that to happen. So I'm going to use myself as an example, right? Just as a round number, let's say for a minute that my practice does $6 million a year in gross dealer concession, okay, or anybody's practice for that matter. It doesn't need to be mine. Let's assume that I'd like to grow my business by 20% a year, which I think most financial advisors have a goal of growing their business by about 20% per year. So in essence, you need to add $1.2 million of new gross dealer concession in order to ultimately meet that goal. That's not easy to do. Think about it for a minute. Most of our businesses are primarily fee-based, with some transactional business as part of it. So in order to actually add $1.2 million of new gross dealer concession to a business, we need to add what, 120, maybe $130 million of new assets? Why don't you think about how you do that? Do you know how to do that? Yeah, me either. Oh, of course, it's not easy to do from a sole practitioner, one client at a time perspective. I've identified 3 ways to create quantum growth. Now, that doesn't mean that regular marketing one at a time doesn't make sense, and you shouldn't continue to do that in your business. But to really grow in a quantum way, here are the 3 things that I've identified. The first way to grow in a quantum way is through practice acquisitions, or what I would call sunsetting. This is where you go out, you buy another advisor's practice, you take their 20 or 30 or 40 years of hard work of building a business, all the sweat, blood, and tears that went into that, you write one check, and you now own the business. You bring on their 30, 40, 50, $100 million business, and you're able to grow that way. Great way to grow. I've grown my business that way. I know many other successful advisors who've built businesses that way. In fact, I have a part of my company, Cutton Consulting Group, that actually teaches financial advisors how to buy businesses, and we'll go out and source them for you, as you might know. But here's what I want you to understand. It's not easy to do, and it's not controllable. Great way to grow. However, there's over 100 buyers for every seller. You can't guarantee in the next 12 months that there will be a seller in a market that you live in and are willing to work in that will have their practice for sale. You can control that a little bit by searching for them and making sure that you're in the marketplace and spending your time and energy as a business owner, but it's not something that you can really guarantee. So it's a great way to grow. It's a very competitive arena. And the other piece is it takes capital, right? To buy a business, you have to write a pretty big check, and you have to take a risk that we're all not prepared to ultimately do. So I'll say that's probably one of the three, in my opinion, best ways to create quantum growth. The second is recruiting. You can bring another advisor into your business, take his or her practice, absorb it into yours, which will really help you grow the top line revenue of your business. But now what you need to do is you need to manage that person. You need to spend time with that person, teach them your systems, teach them your structure, and they'd like to get paid a portion of the revenue to actually go out and do the work with their existing clients. And you do have a risk that they could leave you one day, right? They could leave you one day and take the clients that they brought into your firm with them wherever they choose to go. We recruit advisors into our business. It's a great way to create quantum growth. But again, from my perspective, there's some nuances there that don't make it, in my opinion, the best way to grow. One of the best, but in my opinion, not the best. As you might imagine, my belief is the best way to grow is through forming relationships with accountants, CPAs, and other professionals in your area. Here's what's great about it. There's tons of professionals in your area. You have clients within your client base that already work with those professionals that approach the right way, and we'll talk about this in our marketing section a little bit later, will actually have to meet with you. 90% of them approach the right way. We'll take a meeting with you to talk about your mutual client. So getting in front of them is not a very difficult thing to do. So there's plenty of them out there. They're easy to meet. And my question for you is this: how much does it cost to meet a CPA or a professional in your area? The answer is zero, nothing. So when I think about the ways to grow from a quantum growth perspective, I can't come up with in my own practice a way that is any better than working with professional CPAs. What I also want you to understand, guys, I think it's one of the reasons I've been really, really successful in working with the CPA and tax community. I actually believe it's the right thing for the client. At the end of the day, guys, like it or not, what we do as financial advisors and what a CPA does, it's integrated. The investment decisions that we make, what to buy, what to sell, taxable events, municipal bonds, tax-deferred annuities, where we take distributions from, we are so connected to the tax world, it's unbelievable to me that more CPAs and financial advisors don't work together. So while it's unbelievable to me, and I truly believe the client at the end of the day gets a better advice package if me as the financial advisor and the CPA sit at the same conference table and work on the client's behalf together, I think the CPA financial advisor combination gives the client a much better advice package. So my belief, I think, comes through that it's good for the client, and that's why I think so many accounting firms have been attracted to our practice and have actually decided to work with our team. So I believe if you have that same conviction the way that I do and really understand how it's good for the client, I think it will ultimately come through and help you to build more and more relationships. Now, many of you know I teach this program with a CPA, and he'll be on some of our webinars as well. His name is Ken Serini. And I want to real quickly talk to you a little bit about what Ken and I have accomplished together in working together since back in 2001, late 2001. Ken and I want to describe to you a little bit about Ken's practice. Ken is a CPA that does tax work, but most of his work is in the consulting and not-for-profit arena. He has a small tax business of about 550 tax returns, and we've been working together, like I said, since 2001. So since 2001, here's what we've been able to accomplish together. We have about $80 million of joint assets under management, do over $750,000 of projected gross dealer concession from just clients that he's referred to me since 2001. We have over 150 new clients together, and we've also been able to create many relationships with local businesses where we're able to come on site and offer what I call on-site financial planning services for their employees. So here's why I want you to really look at that slide and see what one CPA relationship has meant to my firm. Now what I want you to do is I want you to envision that in your practice, and I want you to envision building 3 relationships like that. And here's why I want you to do that. That's what the average advisor who goes through our program accomplishes about a year in, 2 to 3 relationships. Now this was over a decade of work with Ken and I, but a decade plus later, here's what the ultimate results are. And I want you to go back to that quantum growth analogy and to talk about eat now versus eat later marketing and perpetual marketing. What else have you done in your career? What other marketing activity have you ever done that has brought those type of numbers in, that has been able to bring in $80 million plus of assets and 150 clients? That's the power of working with accounting firms. So I teach the program with Ken because, number one, he was my first relationship in the CPA community. And I've got to share with you guys, we messed up lots of things. We made a lot of mistakes. We had a lot of room for improvement. And the way I really cut my teeth and learned the right and wrong way of how to develop these relationships was through my relationship with Ken and Ken's team. So he'll be on some of our webinars, and what he does a great job of is really teaching the CPA mindset. One of the disconnects, guys, that we have is you and I, as a financial advisor, we don't approach CPAs in the right way. We don't think like them. We don't understand them. We don't understand what keeps them from doing business with us. And the better you understand your target market or your consumer, in this case, accountants and CPAs, the better the likelihood of you being able to be successful in influencing them to do exactly what you want. Make no bones about it. Great leaders influence people to do things that they would not do without you, right? That's what a great leader does. To me, that's the definition of leadership. That's what I try to do in my program in leading you, and that's what I need to teach you to do in working with the accountants that you will ultimately lead. I say a lot, the hard part of building relationships with accounting firms is actually the building the relationship, the getting them to say, yes, I'd like to join your firm's alliance program. I'd like to work together. That's the hard part. The harder part is then influencing them to refer and to follow the system. And that's where the beauty of this is, guys. I could help you ultimately and will help you find these CPAs, teach them teach you how to help them to say yes, and then ultimately how to influence them going forward so you can generate 10 to 20 new referrals per year. That's where we're going. That's what I'm really excited about, and I hope you're excited about it at this point as well. Ken brings a ton of value to the program and is in a position as a real live CPA to really help us to understand exactly what's on the CPA community's mind and, in essence, how to approach them in a way that they will keep their mind open and continue to have dialogue with us throughout that sales process. So I think you're going to be really excited about learning about some of this from Ken and get some of his perspectives on things as well. I want to real briefly talk a little bit about where I believe the industry as a whole is heading. As an industry, guys, the reality of the situation, when I say as an industry, I mean the CPA industry, it's changing. I don't think it's the greatest time, quite frankly, and I've had many accountants and CPAs tell me this. I don't think it's the greatest time to be a CPA. Think about all we've been through with the economy. Small businesses have closed doors, competition with TurboTax and other competitors, price compression. When you think about all of these variables that CPAs are contending with, And then couple that with business owners struggling, having to choose between paying their rent, their health insurance, their payroll, and their CPA. Who do you think is getting paid last or least? It's the CPA. So their receivables are at all-time highs. So in the community out there today, the CPA community that is, CPAs are looking for an opportunity to reinvent themselves, to become more of a consultant to their clientele, and to create additional revenue and income streams to their practice. When you think about what Ken and I have been able to accomplish together, imagine being able to help a CPA firm to accomplish that, to build a true financial planning and wealth management arm, and to ultimately help their clients gain valuable services through a trusted, knowledgeable advisor like yourself. That's what we're trying to accomplish. Folks don't realize, guys, the average CPA that I speak to that has a small practice, and by the way, our target market in our program are smaller CPA firms. Not to say you can't meet and work with a regional or national accounting firm or a large accounting firm in your community, but the solo practitioner to the 25 to 30 person shop, that's our target market. That's where I believe you'll have the most success and where I'm going to direct you to spend your time and energy. That average CPA at a smaller firm that I speak with is making somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000 a year. So I want you to think about what helping that CPA create an extra $20,000 or $30,000 or $50,000 or $100,000 a year to the bottom line of their practice can mean. It can mean a lot, right? It can really transform their income and change their life. That's the opportunity. And the fact that their industry right now is struggling and they're in a position that they're searching for an opportunity to find a way to replace that lost income, from my perspective, makes it a very, very opportune time for financial advisors like you and I to actually begin to build these mutually beneficial relationships with accounting firms. So I want you to keep that in mind throughout the training program. I also want you to keep in mind this statistic. If you meet 10 CPAs, statistically, here's what I'm going to tell you. 4 of them, no matter what you do, they're not going to do business with you. They don't believe it's the right thing for them to do as an accounting firm, to offer financial planning services, to be involved, and to be compensated to do so. So 40% of them, no matter what you do, it's not going to work. 20% are already doing it. So 20% of CPA firms already offer some level of financial planning, some more successful than others, but for the most part, not being as successful as they'd like, okay? It's the other 40% in the middle that we can influence. They don't know whether or not they should be involved in financial planning, whether or not it's the right thing for them in their practice, and the way that you approach it, and I believe our system will help you to have the right approach, the way that you approach it is going to stack the odds in your favor to make them feel comfortable and choose you and your firm to be the provider of their financial planning services. By the way, the 20% are already doing it. Remember the movie Glengarry Glen Ross? Those are the Glengarry leads. Most of them who are doing it, guys, aren't doing it well, aren't making money, and are thinking about how to get out of it or how to partner with someone like you. So there are BDs that cater exclusively to CPA firms. You have HD Vest, you have Genworth Financial, you have First Global. There are many advisors and CPA advisors, I should say, around the country who are with firms like that cater to CPAs, that are looking to meet someone like you in your community who can offload their financial planning practice and have someone with your background run it and help them to grow their business. Because what they're realizing is it's not as easy as they thought to be both the CPA and the financial advisor, and having a partner to delegate and offload the wealth management financial planning division is really in their best interest. So the time is ripe. To support the time being right, here's some statistics that you see on your screen. It's clear that accountants are being bombarded with solicitations about financial planning. I will share this with you. I get a call at least once every couple of weeks from a CPA that we work with that says, hey, I just wanted you to know I got a call from another advisor at another company who wants to meet with me. They tell me that because it makes them feel good about themselves and that they're being pursued. But what that tells me is you and I aren't alone. There's a reason 300 financial advisors show up to my webinar every month to learn how to do this. We all want to do it. It's the key to the growing of our business. So there's competition. You've got to beat your competition. Someone else in your community is going to beat you to it if you don't go out and meet those CPAs as soon as you can. It's estimated that over the next 10 years, an additional 6,600 accounting firms nationally will offer financial planning services. Another 6,600 accounting firms. We're moving quick. CPAs are seeing this as an opportunity, and you need to get your market share of it. That's my opinion. It's estimated that between 65 and 90,000 of the 330,000 members of the AICPA currently offer some level of financial planning services. So think about that. That's that 20% number that I talked about before. 20% at a minimum are already doing it. There are only approximately 2,500 PFSs registered with the AICPA, 500 of which are estimated to have assets under management in excess of 25 million. And as we already know, accountants are the gatekeepers to tremendous amounts of wealth. We already know that. It's the key, guys. There's been study after study after study that's been done that states this fact. Most financial advisors, very best clients, the top of their decile report, those clients have come from referrals from trusted professionals like CPAs. If I'm a business owner or a successful businessman or a successful executive at a corporation, I have a great trusting relationship with my CPA. And the number one way that I'd like to meet my financial advisor is through a recommendation from someone like that. Okay, so I know that we already know that, guys, but I really want to drive that home from an opening remark perspective. I want you to understand the importance and the significance of really looking at the business opportunity here, being your own consultant, and really understanding why, in fact, this is the time to focus on this in such a deep and meaningful way. And I'm really excited that you've joined our program. We're going to start to get into some of the material here and start to really go deep into how to get belly to belly with the CPA from a marketing perspective. We're also going to spend some time on common CPA concerns and, more importantly, how to alleviate them. How do we actually, through our sales process, teach the CPA why their concerns can ultimately be, you can never really eliminate a concern, but alleviate it. We want them to feel comfortable moving forward. We're also going to spend some time in our training today. We're going to talk a little bit about our sales process. And we're going to go step by step through our 4-meeting sales process, scripted out for you on what we should and should not do at different times, and really how to follow our system and our process. I'm a big believer, and I say it a lot. You'll probably hear me say it again throughout our presentation today. If you have a plan, people will follow you. Think back into history. There are great leaders who didn't always have the right plan in our history, but just because they had a plan, hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of people followed them because they were so clear in their plan. It's one of the keys to our program, is ultimately having that plan. So there's lots to come throughout the training program. I want you to really keep an open mind. I want your undivided attention. And my true belief is that if you have the right focus on this, it is going to absolutely change your career. So we're going to take a quick break here, and we're going to move back, come back on in just a couple of minutes and start to really talk about how to get belly to belly and how to begin that marketing process with CPAs and how to approach that.